What's up guys, it's Kaelin and I am back with another video, and today's video it's gonna be another kickback. It's gonna be another kickback. I want to bring it back to kickbacks. You know, I've been doing a little reaction videos, but I wanted to have combos because I've been seeing things. You know, when I see things and I feel it on my spirit, I gotta talk about it. I got this chapstick from Fresh like forever ago, and it actually lasted a really long time, partially because I lost it, but it's really good. So as you read the title, we are talking about why minorities are not all the same, and also why we should be gatekeeping blackness. So without further ado, we're just gonna jump right into the video. You know what you gotta do. You gotta subscribe, hit the notification bell, also comment. This is supposed to be a conversation, so I want people to feel included, okay? Put your thoughts out there. If you resonate with this, say that. If you feel like, okay, this is a piece of shit, say that. Say whatever you feel, but just have conversations respectfully in the comments with me. I want to engage with you guys, and I want you guys to feel like this is something where you can, if you feel anything, like just say something. Like, this is for you. This is for me to talk to you. I feel like that's the whole part. That's the whole process. So yeah. All right, I got my notes, and I also got my tea featuring my mug. I don't know if you guys can see this. Be you, be kind, okay? You be cute, you be classy, and you be kind. That's what I should say. You be cute, you be classy, and you be kind. That's cute! I like that. Okay. Noted. Now, everything that I'm about to say is my opinion based on the things that I've researched, based on facts that I know about, facts that I will talk about in this, and my perception of those things, and my perception as a black person. It is not, I'm not here to say that I'm correct at everything, that my opinion is law, that my opinion is the staple truth, that you have to believe everything that I say. I am just stating how I feel about current events that are going on. And I also want to say that with this conversation, hopefully someone, if I am wrong, can educate me on why I am wrong. And I will totally heed by that and learn from my things. But I feel like we don't have enough of these conversations, so that's where my role is to just have the conversation. I came here to talk to you guys because I've been seeing online a lot of people talk about, a lot of minorities. A lot of minorities, other minorities, basically identifying levels of oppression within their community, problems that they feel, or grievances that they may have towards other races, groups of people, ethnicities, whatever. All races always talk about their issues, da 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 da. But my problem comes in when a lot of times when black people say XYZ is going on in our community or towards our community and it is affecting our community XYZ ways, somebody else, some other race has to come in and be like, oh, me too, me too, me too. It affects me too. Or, oh yeah, that's yours. Well, this is ours. Or we feel like this. And I think when people do that, it may not initially come from like, oh, you're trying to one up the black community, or you're trying to feel as though you relate in any capacity to the black community, but that is what it comes across as. And it also comes across as like trying to shadow whatever the black community is saying, because it seems like when there was Black Lives Matter, then XYZ lives matter, and XYZ lives matter, and then all lives matter, and then whatever. And the whole point was not to say anything about anybody else. It was just that, hey, our life matters. That was it. And it seemed like people went and just made their own twist on it. And though that is not to say, again, like we've said multiple times, Black Lives Matter does not mean that Asian lives don't matter, or Latino lives don't matter, or German lives don't. Like, it doesn't mean anything like that. But what it does mean is that, hey, there's a significant problem regarding black people and their relations with law enforcement. And it seems as though black lives are not as important as other lives are when it comes to discretion on whether or not they kill us or not. And that was it. That was it. That was all it was. It went to be a big thing. And so things like that, things like black fishing, and then it goes to Asian fishing, things like that are where I'm just like, okay, let's talk. People don't really understand that there is a thing called model minority, and because I always like to get the facts right, we're gonna type in model minority. We're gonna get the definition. A model minority is a minority demographic, whether based on ethnicity, race, or religion, whose members are perceived to achieve a higher degree of socioeconomic success than the population average, thus serving as a reference group to outgroups. So the thing is that model minority is usually used in conjunction with Asian Americans, both South Asian and East Asian, all of the above Asians. They're usually used against Asian American people. And the problem that comes up with Asian Americans is that they feel as though, and rightfully so, I'm not discrediting anything about the way that they feel, but because there is such a high expectation for their race, that it makes it harder for people who deviate from that or who don't meet those expectations. Understandable, totally understandable. However, I personally, and again, this is my personal, so the term model minority is used for Asians. Now, the thing that happens is that for Black people, we don't get that expectation. And I think when people think about model minority and think of the negative effects that it has on the Asian community, they try to make an equivalence between that and Blackness. And no, it's literally just not. One being because even though model minority may have a negative connotation, negative repercussions, like in the long run, the immediate thinking of Black people as savages, Black people as 3/5 of a person, the notion that Black people are inferior intellectually or inferior socially is what we are talking about. I think that when you say that, okay, the expectation is that you are still smarter than Black people, that is when we talk about, okay, there are differences between the race. I also want to say that a lot of this comes from Julesy. She had a video about basically Black culture and cultural appropriation, and she read a book. I will link both the book and her video because that is what stemmed some of this. I was watching that and also like in life. So yeah, basically the delineation between Black culture and American trends is getting so blurred every single day. I mean, as we see on TikTok, on Twitter, on Instagram, all the way around. And meanwhile, each day as Black folks come up with the verbiage in order to express like nuances within our experience, it seems as though other races try to either attach or an equivalent between their race and ours in experience. And I think that is where some problems come in. I think that's where cultural appropriation comes in. I think that's where we have like issues where people try to say there's Black fishing and then there's Asian fishing, and then, or we have like Latinos saying nigga. That's why we have a lot of problems. And so I just want to talk about why we should be gatekeeping Blackness. So the first big thing is that anti-Blackness is a global phenomenon. So anti-Blackness, colorism, global thing. So even if we are not talking just about the United States, racism is experienced by Black people all across the board. So even when we look at situations in Asia specifically, where darker Asians are seen as less and lighter Asians are seen as preferred, that Westernized or European concept of colorism is still very present. Therefore, making an actual Black person still at the bottom of the totem pole. So I think that when people try to basically say that there's similarities between our experiences, yes, fair. There are similarities in America because white people be racist. So yes, you may experience racism from a white person, yes, to your degree though. So when people try to say that like, oh, model minority is XYZ bad, it's like, yes, it does have its repercussions and I totally understand that and I'm not taking away from that at all. However, it is nothing like the Black experience. When people try to say that there are equivalences and there are similarities, so that means, oh, okay, I was a poor Latino and you were a poor Black person, we lived in the same neighborhood, I can say nigga because I was raised in the hood. And that's not it. That's not it. I was an Asian person, I was raised in the hood. Yes, okay, minorities typically do end up poorer than white folks. So you may not be in Beverly Hills, Highland Park, nice areas of the city when your parents immigrated, or your family might not be from the nicer part of the city. However, comma, that doesn't mean that you are relative to blackness. Like that's just not it. Like, I'm sorry to break it to you, that's not what that means. That doesn't mean that you are, just because black people accept you into, because black people are not trying to, even when I say gatekeeping blackness, black people are not trying to say black supremacy, fuck everybody else. We're just saying we have a lot, like there's a lot of shit that happens to us. And we are trying to still navigate things that have been happening to us for the last 400 years in this country alone. So we got our shit and we're trying to navigate that. And we also understand that you have yours. And those things, those experiences, like I'm not out here using racial slurs against Latinos. I'm not out here using racial slurs against Asians, because that history and that impact that had on their grandparents and their parents, their grandparents, their great-grandparents. My family doesn't know anything about, I don't have anything to do with that. Japanese internment camps, I don't know shit about. I do know about slavery though. I do understand the impacts that had, because I'm not too far removed from slavery. I see the effects within my own family that slavery had, compared to the fact that you guys have traditions, you guys have history that you guys can reconnect to that I cannot, because the furthest things back are like really slavery. Like I have no knowledge of what happened beforehand, and I can do an ancestry test, but I'm still, none of my family experienced anything from Africa. None of my family experienced the coming over process. None of my family can trace back where they are from through scrapbooks or letters or anything like that. Like that's just not it, because of slavery. And then also the living through being black in America throughout the generations, and even my experience is still completely different than an Asian American or a Latin American person. Like the only people, really, to me, the only people that can really say shit are Native Americans, because they were wiped out, okay? They were wiped out and they are still shitted on. They're probably the only people, the only race that I would say really throughout American history has had a similar experience, if not a worse experience, than black Americans in this country. Right now, when we try to say everybody's equal, I think that we try to really, we only think about that in a one-dimensional way. We think about that as far as like, okay, we're all chilling, we're all the same, we all have equal opportunity, XYZ, but we don't have equal amount of respect. The fact that nigga is still contemplated by all these other races as if they can say it or not, or if it's a bad thing or not, or why is it, or we still have conversations of people slipping up and saying it. Granted, there are black people that are at fault for this. There are definitely black people who should be holding these other people accountable that are close in their circle. However, the fact that we even have the conversation is because of a lack of respect for black people. It just doesn't make any sense to me that somebody can really say, oh, well, it's because like it's such a colloquial thing, it's such a thing, like they say it in rap all the time. Yes, black rappers say it. You wanna know why Latino rappers aren't saying nigga? Because they're not niggas, okay? You wanna know why K-pop, I mean, to my knowledge, isn't out here saying nigga? Now, they are doing some other shit that I don't like. That's part of the problem. But they're not saying nigga because they're not black, okay? They're not black. So, you should not be saying it if you are not black. And that just should be very simple. There's no, like, I have no reason saying any Asian slurs, no matter how popular it may be amongst Asian communities. There's no reason that I should be saying Latino slurs, even though I hear a lot of Latinos call each other these names all the time. I grew up in a prominently Mexican community. I heard them saying all types of crazy shit. And yeah, when I was a child and I was around the people and we were all just saying reckless ass shit to each other, yeah, sure, probably did. However, when I got to realize my place in society and their place in society and their history and what they have gone through, and I also knew what my people have gone through, that is when I learned to have respect for both mine and their culture. And I do not say that, okay? Because I don't want them saying those things to me. I wouldn't like it if they said racial slurs to me, so I'm not gonna say that to them. And you wanna know why it hasn't picked up? Is because they other races have made it a thing to where it's other people cannot say it. It's automatically like, well, what the fuck is what's going on? Like, what the hell are you doing? But with Black people, because partially also because there is this sense of almost like Black people are over exaggerating when they say that it's our problem. Like, Black people get told like they're doing too much, or Black people's lives are in danger because they stand up to people who say that. Then that's why they just sometimes are complacent. Some people are complacent because they don't want to stand up to people, because they don't want to lose a job. They can't fight you because they're in school. They don't want to lose their scholarship. They don't want to lose their place in school. They don't want to, again, there's so many issues that Black people have against them. So it's like, yeah, though somebody may allow you to say it, that doesn't mean that you should say it. Just because one person allowed you, if you know that people at large do not like it. And I would expect somebody to hold a Black person accountable. If there's a Black person out here saying some reckless shit like that, you hold them accountable. Do not let them go out here and say that. And same for people of other races. And so that is why I feel like Black people should, one, gatekeep Blackness, because every time it seems like there is something that goes on within the Black community and becomes popular, it gets appropriated. And it goes across the board. It's not even just trends and like clothes and hairstyle. It's literally even just our existence and our verbiage to describe our oppression. Like, that is beyond me. Like, it really is beyond me. And so I hope this makes sense, because it's like, I don't want people to think that I'm out here like, oh, you can't touch anything that's Black, because no, I be making Italian food. I be making the fuck out of some stir fry. I be making all types. I be hanging out around, or I go and experience these cultures, but with the respect of the culture. Not trying to benefit from the culture, having no knowledge of the culture. Not trying to take aspects of the culture just because it's just hair. Or not trying to take aspects of the culture just because it's just clothing. Not taking aspects of the culture just because it sounds cool or everybody's doing it. No. I have a respect for everybody's culture, and I would like for people to have a respect for Black culture. I would really love if people had a respect for Black culture enough to at least just not say nigga. Like, that would be the first thing that I'd be like, hey, can y'all just not, like, if we can say it. It's kind of like, you know, when you have like siblings and like there's a rude word that you guys call each other, or there's like a nickname that you call each other that no one else can call you but your siblings. It's the same fucking concept. It's the same freaking concept. It's the same freaking concept. So I just think that if we started there, like, maybe we would get somewhere, because that just signals respect. But that seems kind of far-fetched to me. And especially like now, it seems like people are just kind of like dismissing it as if it's nothing. And it's just, it sucks. It really just sucks. And again, this isn't to say that like Latinos didn't have to go through the last 4 years of people trying to deport them. I'm not trying to say that, again, Asian internment camps are not a thing, that Latinos are not locked in cages right now. I'm not trying to say any of that. However, I'm also not disrespecting your culture. I'm not trying to say, oh, every time somebody talks about kids at camp, like, I'm not trying to talk, every time somebody's talking about Latino people in concentration camps, I'm not out here always trying to combat it with the fact that Black people were slaves. Black people were slaves, and that happened as well as it's happening to you. We don't need to compare them, but they are different, and that should just be that. But that's really all that I have for this video. I don't want this video to be stupid long, because right now it looks like I've been talking for 30 minutes. So I want to wrap this up, but I want to know how you feel. How do you feel about gatekeeping Blackness? How do you feel about minorities? Do you think that we're all equal? Do you think that there are differences between minorities and that they should just be respected? How do you feel? Let me know in the comments. But yes, you stay cute, you stay classy, and you stay kind. I like that. I don't know why I'm weird. But yeah. Alright. I'll see you in my next video. Peace. Bye.